Hello and welcome to my channel, Sabine Robertson, broker owner of Sea Haus Realty here in the EmeraldCoast. I'll be able to give you some information on what to look for that maybe you're not realizing until you're ready to sign the paper on your contract that would cost you some additional money here in the panhandle of Florida. So let's get started with number one. The first thing you need to decide is how are you going to purchase your home? Are you paying cash? Well, then this section you can probably move on to the next one. But if you're financing, how are you going to finance the purchase? Are you a VA buyer, an FHA, a conventional? Are you using a HELOC? Or maybe you even doing a bridge loan because you have to sell a home back home first. So these are all different scenarios that you have to kind of sort out, and the best way to get started is with a professional lender. Yes, and this is a true story. About 4 years ago, I worked with a buyer who got pre-qualified with an online lender. Well, we had the most difficult time getting this loan closed, and just literally every single day prior to closing, the lender would tell us, oh, we are all good to go. Don't worry, Sabina, everything is perfect. Well, literally the day of the closing, the lender pulled their strings and said, nope, sorry, we cannot qualify this buyer. Well, that happens when you go and search for a lender online and you pick a random person without checking out their credentials and their experience. That is so crucial, my friends. So in this scenario, I had my local lender that I trusted and have been using ever since, was able to close that loan within 2 weeks. Sometimes it's not all about the money. Who has the best rate? There are so many variables that you have to consider. But choosing a professional lender is your number one advice and must do. Number two, make sure you hire a professional realtor that has experience and also is an expert in the local area. Sometimes I have a showing request from an agent who is from a complete different area. They're coming from Tallahassee to show property here in the Panhandle. Please make sure your realtor knows the local area because it changes. Even here from Santa Rosa Beach to Crestview, there are different scenarios when you're buying homes, and you need somebody that is very familiar with it. Remember, you are doing one of the most important investments. So hire a professional that has your back and your best interest at heart. No, you don't have to pick me. Pick somebody that you trust and that you feel comfortable with. But interview at least 2 realtors and find the person that is the best match for you. I remember going to a listing appointment about 2 years ago to one of my friends and neighbors. And as I'm sitting there at the listing appointment, they told me, well, you know, Sabina, you told us to interview at least 2 people, so we have another interview. We will let you know what we decide. Well, true story. They did ended up listing with me, but they did follow my advice and talk to another person. It doesn't hurt to get another point of view. Your real estate professional will then also put you in charge to their trusted home inspectors, insurance companies, and so now you have established a support team to help you through this whole buying process. And now you're ready to go look at homes. The lender and you decide what mortgage payment and what home prices you are comfortable with. So now start looking in your search parameters and realize that you have additional expenses. So let me talk to you about them here, especially in the Panhandle of Florida. Insurance, the age of your home, if it is in a flood zone, and the elevation has a direct impact on the cost of your homeowner's insurance. I actually have a document that I will include the link below that gives you a checklist, and you can check and see there's a link, a scanning code on there that shows you the FEMA flood link, so you can do a quick search if the property's in the flood zone, and you can also have a checklist depending on the age of the home if your insurance is going to be more expensive or less expensive. So I think that's a really good tool to use. In Florida, we do have hurricanes, so you always have a hurricane insurance. But remember that if rising water is not covered unless you carry a flood insurance. Flood Zone X, the lender does not require you to have flood insurance, but I always recommend that you do have it, because it is my experience here in the Panhandle when we have hurricanes coming, the water sometimes goes through the bay and gushes out, and then there are homes that definitely do flood. So when you finally found that perfect home and you're ready to make an offer, you need to go through your due diligence period. Make sure that your real estate professional goes and reviews the contract with you and the timeline in the contract, and allows you to have a home inspection and also a financing contingency if you are financing. During your home inspection contingency, hire an inspector that will go and take a good look at the house, because you can use that opportunity to renegotiate repairs or some money back depending on what is wrong with the house. Every home has something that needs to be fixed. Even new construction, I find things that come up on an inspection report. But it gives you a better understanding, how to best move forward with this transaction. I think about 2 years ago, we had a home inspection and the buyers actually withdrew their offer because we found foundations issues that came up at the home inspection. And sometimes that has to happen, and then you need to reevaluate what you want to do. But that ultimately is your decision. Now, the home inspector, will give you a general repair, and sometimes I advise to go into more specifics. Like with a stucco home, I recommend to do a stucco inspection. If the home is older, maybe you want to do a mold inspection. Maybe you want to call a roofer to give you a better idea about the condition of the roof or the HVAC system. So sometimes you need to call somebody in the specific trade to give you a clear picture on what is going on with the home. Know your property taxes. So when you're purchasing a home, you are paying the taxes for the current seller for that given year. So let's say that seller has owned that house for 5 years and paid $300,000. Their property taxes are probably right around $3,000. Now the prices have gone up and you're paying $700 for the same home. Well, for this year, let's say you just purchased this home in 2023, your property taxes for the day you purchase until the end of the year will remain the same. But next year, the property appraiser side will come out and reassess the home, and your property taxes will go up, most likely about 1% of your purchase price. I always advise my buyers, the moment you go under contract, you need to go ahead and start shopping for homeowner insurance. We all know that here in Florida, homeowner insurance right now is very expensive. Do you even know that if you have a fire hydrant right next to your house, you get a little bit of a discount? Well, sometimes, just like this, your lenders and your realtors, you need to shop around for homeowners insurance, because some insurance brokers will do a little bit more research and give you different credit for certain things than others. So it is important to shop around. Another thing that is really crucial here in Florida is if you do go under contract, especially during hurricane season, make sure you get binding insurance. So once a hurricane is announced in the system, Florida insurance companies will not issue any new policies. However, if you have a binding policy in place, then you would be allowed to still close on the property if the hurricane did not affect your area. So that is really important. Here in the Emerald Coast, we have coastal dune lakes, we have cobra zones, we have flood zones, and we have so many different elements that affect you to our specific area. Be aware of them, especially if you're purchasing a home. If you're purchasing a home that is in a coastal dune barrier zone, for example, you can only build a certain percentage of that land. So if you're buying an existing home and now you decide to add a pool, you may not be able to do that because the current owner has already used out all the footprint of that lot. Always do a survey. You want to make sure there are no encroachments going on. True story. I had a property where the survey was done by 2 different survey companies, and one of the pins at the back of the property was set apart by about 3 feet. So the current seller had put a fence in at the wrong dimension of the property line. So we had to go and move the fence, and we had to go and reassess the whole property issue. So I always recommend my buyers to get a survey. Think about this. You're buying one of your biggest investments. You know, if you're paying $300, $500, $2 million for a home, what is $450 to get a new survey? That is really crucial. Understand if you're in a homeowner association. Take time to read through all the documents and understand what is included. If you are purchasing a condo, there's a whole new video that I need to go and talk about because things have changed so much with the condo, and I think I do have a link about that already on my YouTube channel. But understand the rules, the regulation, know if they have a budget, if they have a reserve, because if something comes up like a special assessment, do they have money put aside, or are they going to hit you with a special assessment next year? So here you see I have all these suggestions for the Emerald Coast for you, but most importantly, please make sure you take your time and have the best team to stand behind you when you're purchasing property. I have a couple of clients that I feel really proud of because we bought a home 4 years ago. Then we bought a second home 2 years later, and the first one was being rented out. And we just 2 weeks ago signed another contract for their third house. They are building wealth because in the long run, real estate can be such a great investment for you. But always keep in mind, you need to look at the numbers. Does it make sense? You don't want to pay more for a house than the current market conditions will justify. If you're buying investment property, make sure that you're getting your return on investment. Maybe right now you are just barely breaking even. In the long run, you will make money. I guarantee you that, especially if you sell it at the right time. However, you have to have money in your reserve in case times change a little bit and you're not required to sell. You can support your house for a little bit if it is an investment. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope to hear from you. If you do, comment below or reach out to me directly. I am always here to help you. Until the next time, auf Wiedersehen, tschüss und goodbye.